Test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ben?
Monkeys fly in space, and space is for monkeys. Hello, and welcome to the Unfazed podcast, episode 2. I'm Ben Steerick.
I'm Unfazed.
And today we're going to talk about stuff. Yeah. So today we're going to talk about a wide range of things.
Yeah.
Emmett, do you want to start us off with
I would love to start
what's
it
on
off.
your mind?
So first of all, I have a little bit of allergies right now, so my voice probably sounds different.
Me too. Too many.
Just letting you know, yeah.
Too many pussies.
We're getting messed up with
Cats.
Yeah, right.
And vaginas.
So I'm Emmett Lefebvre, and I'm here with Ben Steerick again.
Hello.
So last time we mainly tackled movies, because obviously we are very into movies. Everything we do
film guys.
is creative in some aspect. Today we're going to try to take a step back from judging movies and look into ourselves and sort of the things that we're doing right now and talk to you guys about them.
I know earlier you wanted to talk about, I think you touched base on a little bit on the last podcast, but you want to talk about Disney and your qualms.
Yes, yeah, I mentioned Disney a lot last time, and I know I might be, I don't want to attack Disney too much. Or maybe I do. Yeah, maybe I do,
They deserve it.
They used to be the pinnacle of creativity, and some of the most beautiful art came out of those early Disney movies in animation and music and storytelling. And recently, they have become the very empire that, their heroes seek to destroy in Star Wars.
Nerds.
Yeah, they've lost. They're even recycling their old stuff. All those new
Beauty and the Beast.
live action Beauty and the Beast, live action Cinderella. Fuck yeah! Try to get some new ideas.
Yeah.
I just don't like how they're clearly riding on nostalgia and not coming up with anything new. And to me, it's lost its magic. It feels very corporate to me now, and I can't have fun with it anymore.
I think Disney isn't the only one doing it. I mean, you look at every other studio. I mean, it's just remake after remake after remake, or sequel. And I know everybody has said this already, so I feel like I don't even need to harp on this too much. But there's so many quality scripts out there floating around that are original, and nobody's taking a chance on them.
Yeah.
I mean, indie films are thriving right now, which is great. But yeah, definitely cool it with the remakes and the sequels. It's getting outrageous.
I think everyone's too afraid to come up with a new idea because they think, it might be a hit or miss. But I'm seeing a trend that all these resurgences are all pretty much misses, more or less. That Ben-Hur movie came out recently. No one watched that. No one wants to see a remake of Ben-Hur. Ben-Hur was perfect when it was originally made.
Absolutely.
Lone Ranger.
Yeah. Any of those. I mean, you could rattle off like 100.
Yeah. Even everyone's getting really excited for Beauty and the Beast, but everyone got really excited for that live action Cinderella, and that just came and went too. There was no magic.
Yeah.
Like it was cool. There's Cinderella. I love it. Maleficent. Maleficent came and went. That's not like a great film.
Yeah. It's just all of it is money grab.
Yeah, and they're staining the originals. I think because you keep something going for so long, it takes away from the magic of the original. At least to me, and I hate to see Disney, just turning into this corporate machine like that. I mean, I sound like a tinfoil hat guy right now, but it's just it pisses me off as a creative person.
It's irritating.
It's not good.
Yeah, it's just quantity over quality.
Exactly.
Definitely. So another thing that we want to talk about is some of the stuff that we're currently working on. We're both writers, obviously, and we're also producing a pilot right now for a series, a paranormal dramatic thriller that we're working on right now. It's going to be titled Contact.
Ooh.
Emmett, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I would love to talk about that a little bit. Yes, I had an earlier video on my YouTube channel that was sort of a mock soundtrack, and that got some interest. Some people were like, hey, this looks really good. And I mentioned that this goes with a script I had been writing, and some people were like, hey, I'd really love to see that once it starts getting made. So we are in the process of filming that as we speak. So stay tuned. We're filming it. We've had 2 shooting dates. They went great, and our next one is exactly a week from now. So today is Friday. Our next shooting date is February 3rd, Friday.
We're just kind of chipping away at it right now, and once it's done, we'll definitely keep you guys in the loop, and you can kind of see it come to life.
Yeah, and rolling into our creative projects, because I mean, obviously, this is one of our biggest undertakings right now, creatively, for sure. At least for me,
Totally.
definitely.
Yeah.
And I want to get very real with anyone else who is a creative type. This is the first film project I've worked on where I can honestly say, "Hey, this looks good. I want to show this to people." Because
Definitely.
I've fresh out of high school, I think literally the summer after my senior year, I started making films with my buddies. And I mean, I wrote scripts all through high school, but never had the time or the energy or the resources to actually make a film. But just out of high school, I was like, hey, let's do this. I made a bunch of shitty films with my friends. I think, a year later, I met Ben.
Mm-hmm.
We started working on stuff together. But we've done a lot of stuff, I feel like.
Oh, we've done a lot of fun stuff, and we've made a lot of crap, like most people.
Yeah, it's all fun, but it's all been
amateur,
relatively amateur, poor quality up until now, and I'm so excited for this because it looks amazing.
One thing that I think a lot of people don't realize, and I think something that makes people give up early on, is that when you do start out and you really don't fully know what you're doing, you're gonna make a lot of shit.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you might have fun doing it. There might be funny jokes in there, or it might be a good premise or whatever. But if it looks shitty, I mean, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people kind of just give up. I mean, it's kind of like, well, I did a few things here and there, it didn't work, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But I feel like anybody, whether you're a writer, whether you're a director, whether you're a musician, whatever, any kind of a painter, I mean, a creative person, you're gonna have a phase when you start out where your stuff just isn't quite there yet. Yeah. It's not that it's necessarily bad, but it's not great. You know what I mean? And I think you got to power through that. And really, I mean, the old adage, practice makes perfect, it's true.
Exactly.
I think you have to power through the shit and practice, and eventually you'll step back, and a couple years later you'll look at your stuff and say, wow, this is so much better than what we did a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, etc.
Right.
And it's really a learning process, and I think you really grow creatively. And my advice to people out there who are just starting out, stick with it. Don't give up. I mean, your stuff is going to get better.
Yeah.
And if not, don't quit your day job, But no, but seriously, I mean, I feel like there's so many people who do give up really easily. It's like they make something, like, let's say it's a film, or even just a video on YouTube, or say you write a song, you get some negative feedback, you lose hope, you give up. Don't do that. Keep producing stuff. Keep at it, because eventually you're going to improve, and you'll eventually get to that level that you want to reach.
Yeah.
So stick with it, definitely. No matter what people say. Stick with it. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. It's that Michael Jordan quote. I failed 1,000 times, and that's why I succeed, or whatever. Whatever the quote is. But
I think it was Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
I'm just kidding. I don't know.
He never failed.
But
no, yeah, so that's exactly right. I think I was just talking to my buddy. We were the other day, like Thursday, about he plays drums and he records a lot of drum tracks, and he does a lot of sort of new wave, alternative, progressive, weird. I mean, it's cool, but definitely not
like
the
experimental stuff.
Yeah, experimental stuff. Yeah, definitely not the kind of music I make, but it's good in its own right. And he was telling me, and this is true for everything I've done creatively as well, that you'll work on something and you'll beat the hell out of it, and you'll get to the point where you hate it, and you'll just drop it, and then maybe 6 months later or a year later, you'll come back to it, and you'll be like, hey, that was actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So you definitely have to give your mind a break, and you will build upon yourself, and don't be afraid to fuck up, because it takes a while to figure out what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And we've just come to a place where we've got a really solid cast and crew, and it takes a while to even get a feel for those things. Like, you got to be able to pick out, all right, I know this guy can do this and that. I know this person can do this. This is what I need.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a long time to get a good sense of what you need going into something, and it takes a while to just figure out all the kinks. And I think we're finally at that place in terms of film, which is really exciting for both of us. 'Cause
I mean, just like anybody, it's like you're always learning. We still have a long way to go.
Oh
definitely.
yeah.
And that's the great thing, though. I feel like with every project, you learn something new, or you meet another person who you jive with creatively.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool, and it's always a positive experience working with other people. As far as writing goes, screenwriting, I've been doing screenwriting for a while now, and same thing. I look back at the very first script that I wrote. It's okay, but it's definitely not great. I'm not super proud. I'm not super proud of it. But you look at the second script, a little better. Third script, hey, I think we're onto something, you know?
Yeah.
And definitely trial and error, man. I mean, just don't be afraid to make something that's not your best, you know?
Right.
As far as screenwriting goes, just do it, man. Put it on the page. I mean, if there's something in there that you can work with, you can always do a rewrite. But
Yeah.
you'll find that the more and more that you write, the easier it flows. I mean, like, I feel like my first script took me such a long time to finish.
Yeah.
And then I look at the last script that I finished, and I was done with that in like 3-4 months.
Fantastic.
I mean, it came out pretty quick. And yeah, I'm just keep up on it, and you'll improve, definitely.
For sure. Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I really only wrote one full script in high school, and I kept going back to it. Like I worked on it all through high school. I wrote, the bulk of it first draft in, a few months or whatever, but I picked away at it and made it better and better and better as I went along. And I remember, I think in 8th grade, I made like my first like full-length novel or whatever, but I realized it blew, so it's just like it's gone now. I threw it away. And you got to be able to, you got to be able to do that. And then the same thing my freshman year, I made like a novella. It was like 40,000 words or something, and I threw that away too because it sucked. And it was only until my sophomore year that I started working on a book that I would publish not until my senior year. And I still, I look back on that, I'm like, okay, it's kind of but it's my first novel that I can say, I am proud of this, but I can do much better. So it takes a long time.
Yeah, I think you should shamelessly plug your books for our listeners in case they want to look them up.
Yes, on Amazon I have Worlds for Throng, that is a sci-fi novel. It takes place in pretty much the very, very, very near future, just a few years from now or so. It's very dark and very cynical because I was a depressed high school student. I even went back. I was a jackass. I was very much an idealist, and I was a pessimist at the same time. And I even went back and edited a little forward to it, saying, be ready for the sort of rantings of a pissy high school student. Nice. Or, more or less, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Because that's what it was. And then I have a novella also called Nox Virtus, that's Latin. That is sort of my serious take on what was it called? Kick-Ass?
Mm-hmm.
That comic Kick-Ass, where it's like, this high school kid wants to become a superhero, but superheroes don't actually exist within his real world.
They don't?
And they don't. And, I mean, Kick-Ass, Kick-Ass is a great film. I think it's fucking, it's hilarious.
I enjoyed it.
But I tried to take a very, very realistic approach to that. I mean, there's no jetpacks or, fucking ninja swords or anything like in Kick-Ass, and it's very very gritty. Lots of death, lots of depression. No tight jumpsuits. So that one's good. I'm proud of that one as well. But yeah, so those are two, and I'm working on another sci-fi right now, much more fantastical and much more sort of like an ancient Greek play, or sort of. It's very epic.
We'll put links to those books below in the description. So if any of you guys feel like taking a peek and supporting Emmett Lefebvre,
I would much appreciate it.
Feel free to look down in the description. We'll put a link to those there. I got a message on Facebook recently inquiring about collaborating as writers and any tips and tricks, things like that. Emmett and I got really lucky, man, because I really enjoy writing stuff by myself, and I personally never thought I would really want to write something with anyone else, because I thought, oh man, I'm perfect the way I am. I don't want to collaborate with anybody; they'll fuck it up, But no, Emmett and I became friends, and we're both writers, and we thought, oh, that'd be funny if we co-wrote something, We our first script that we wrote together was called Three Guys Having a Good Time.
Fantastic.
And this right now is just a script, but ultimately we plan to direct this ourselves.
This is our baby.
Yeah, it's our baby, man. It's I think a lot of people in our generation are gonna love it.
Yeah.
Definitely a throwback to all the goofy '90s kids movies and TV shows and everything. But we wrote that and had such a good time co-writing. Obviously, it's a good feeling to complete a script on your own, Yeah. But when you write something with someone else, I mean, it's just, at least in this case, it was just a really fantastic experience.
The process was a blast.
We had so much fun, man.
Oh, yeah.
And especially a comedy. I mean, because I've written comedies by myself, like feature length and shorts and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's fun, definitely, but in a completely different way. I mean, when you're by yourself, you don't really have a sounding board. You don't know, like you write something, you chuckle to yourself, but you're like, is that really funny? I don't know. But when you're with someone else and you're both dying laughing, it's kind of like, and you're on the same wavelength, it's totally different. It's fantastic. So I definitely say give it a chance. I mean, if there's somebody you jive with creatively who has a very similar sense of humor, try writing something together. Definitely. I mean,
yeah.
it's been a really positive experience and really great collaborating. And we're working on another script together right now that we plan to produce, and you guys are definitely going to enjoy it because it kind of skewers our current culture.
Definitely.
American
Definitely. I totally
American
get that.
spunk.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I think we were just talking a few hours ago or whatever, right before we came here,
Uh-huh.
about how there are certain people that you just jive with in general,
Totally.
and our energy levels go up and down. Like if there's someone I don't really like spending time with, I'll get super tired. It's sort of my body's like defense mechanism. It just sort of shuts down until I'm away from that person.
Oh, definitely.
But if there's someone that I enjoy, then my energy's up, and I want to be in the moment with them.
Absolutely.
And that I think that's relatively the same for creative projects. I've worked with people
100%.
that, looking back, I mean, just now looking back, I've worked with people that, I mean, they're fine people. They're good people, but they're not people I would like to spend a lot of time with, just hanging out. And when trying to write with those people, I find that our ideas do not click, and it's sort of, it's like going up against a brick wall. You're not getting anything done. You're never on the same page, and whatever idea you guys had set in place is almost getting torn down the more and more you try to write it.
Ronald Nathanson.
Ronald Nathanson. Exactly.
What a jerk.
Exactly what I'm talking about. But with me and Ben, it's the complete opposite. We work off of each other.
Lennon McCartney.
Lennon McCartney.
Lennon McCartney.
As soon as one of us is like, oh, I don't know what to do here, one of us will jump in and, just take it from there. And
That's the great thing, yeah.
Really, yeah.
And it's really a lot less pressure to writing like a script together.
Right.
Because when I do it by myself, it's kind of like you hit a roadblock and you really don't have anyone to motivate you. Like you're just motivating yourself.
Yeah.
And so I think it takes a lot longer, at least for me personally, to accomplish anything.
Right.
But when we're working on something together, it's like, dude, I hit a roadblock. Like
not as much mental energy.
Yeah, definitely. And then you'll just take you'll pass the keyboard over, and someone else can put their input in. And I think that's really cool. Like it's really a beautiful thing when it comes to collaborating. It's kind of like you kind of pull each other up,
Yeah.
and complement each other. Definitely.
Yeah. We've always wanted to make a drama together.
Dude,
We have not done that yet.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, contact, but I mean,
contact, yeah.
but
yeah.
as far as like, from scratch.
From
like
scratch,
something-
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be cool.
Because contact was already your
Yes.
concept.
Right.
But yeah, but a couple things I want to talk about as far as our creative process to answer those questions that were brought up earlier. I wanted to talk about what motivates us and what we do to kind of stick to a schedule and things like that. So as far as ideas go, we were mentioning this earlier, it's good to have a solid idea to start with. Someone like me, I get tons of ideas all the time. Whether they're good or bad, I just feel like I have a notebook full of them that I can always go to. And it's really good to pick one that is not too daunting, you know what I mean? Especially if you're planning to produce it yourself. Eventually, kind of try to be real with yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, just pick a solid idea and stick with it. Don't go off on any crazy tangents.
Totally.
Try to keep it simple. I think for your first
Yeah.
script, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, my same buddy Christian. Sorry to jump in here, but
No, you're good, man.
yeah, when we were talking, he also said, he'll have a great idea, and this was in terms of writing. Actually, this wasn't even music. We were talking about writing, and he said, I'll have a fantastic idea, and I'll try to write, and all of a sudden I'll just lose motivation, and I'll stop. So it's really important to sort of build upon your idea. Don't get too excited at first, and then just try to go into it blind.
Yeah.
Definitely take a step back and ask yourself, is this really, truly a good idea that I can build off of?
Yeah. There's only been one script that I did, my very, very first feature-length script called Company Ladder.
Yes.
And stupid little comedy that I did. And that was the only one that I really did a lot of like pre-planning on. Like I did all like the little scene cards and everything like
Wow,
that.
that's cool.
And I really mapped it out, and it was okay. It was good. But one thing that we do now, we're a little more spontaneous, but we still plan things out. I think a really good thing to do is have a very clear ending in mind.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, a very clear beginning, middle, and end is critical.
Yeah.
You can't have a story without that. Then the other little jokes and things like that and situational humor will kind of fill itself in as you write, during the writing process. But make sure you know how it's going to end, because it's really tough to write something without having a direction. You know what I mean? It's hard to just make it up on the go. Like as long as you have some loose idea of how it's going to end, and maybe jot those ideas down, kind of map it out, even if it's really loose. Just kind of put a little map down to kind of keep you on track. Definitely.
Heck yeah. Yeah, we always, I think, more or less memorize a relatively abstract plot.
Yeah.
And then once it's really like there in our heads to the point where we don't even need to discuss it, we know what's going to come next. We sit down and just write it. I mean, nothing is pre-written. Everything's just like in our heads to the point where we know.
Yeah, and one thing that we did, I noticed on our last 2 scripts, is we had key points.
Yeah.
And we did write these down. They would just be like on a notepad or on our phones or whatever. And it would be like, hey, the guys start out here. Here's an interaction with this character. They end up here, here, here. And then we'll put in a couple notes like, oh, they interact with bikers here. Or there's a joke here. Or here's a joke that we want to have down the line, yada, yada. And we'll kind of have like this really loose set of ideas that we can always reference later on. So if we're just starting out and we're on page 5 and we have a whole shit ton of notes, when we're on page 55 later on and we're kind of drawing a blank, we'll be like, hey, let's go back and look at the notes. If we're like short on ideas, we can be like, oh, fuck, I forgot about that.
True.
So yeah, definitely jot down all your ideas early on, because there might be something gold that you can use later on.
That's true.
That you can reference, What else? As far as staying on schedule, personally, I am super freaking like I'm so fucking lazy, dude.
Me too.
I'm like an incredibly lazy person. I'm not. I shouldn't even be giving advice. I'm so fucking lazy. But I guess it's good though. I mean, a lazy person giving advice, right?
Yeah.
But I love to nap.
Because everyone else is lazy. So I love to nap.
Yeah, I feel like most people aren't even as lazy as me.
Yeah.
Super. I could just fall asleep right now. But but one thing that we do is I found having a physical calendar is really good. I know it sounds kind of silly, but I noticed when I would put things in my phone, I would use the calendar, and I wouldn't take it seriously. It wasn't really tangible. I would just ignore the alarms and stuff and not stay on track with my goals. But I found having just a physical calendar and writing on it was really great and helped me stay on track. And actually, it sounds silly, but for our collaborations, we have a calendar that we both use, and we kind of map things out, and it really helps a lot.
It is very helpful. Yes, we have the shared calendar, and then we each have a calendar of our own.
Yeah.
I
mean, like literally, go to a store, go to the mall, whatever, order one online.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. Like, get a cheap one. It doesn't matter. Get a fucking kitten poster. Yeah. But actually, I recommend you get a kitten poster specifically. But yeah, hang it on your wall, man, and hold yourself accountable. And the interesting thing about it is once you get rolling on things, you get kind of addicted. I noticed when, I don't know, we started getting really hardcore into our writing, maybe about, we've always been into it, but as far as collaborating, within the last year, maybe a little over a year.
For sure.
But we meet up like twice a week to work on our scripts, and
right. Yeah, you get into a groove.
You get into a groove, and you get kind of addicted to that feeling of like, hey, I accomplished something. I finished 5 pages. I finished 10 pages. Mm-hmm. And it's really such a great feeling if that's what you're into and that's what your ultimate goal is to like complete something. Yeah.
And I mean, it sounds in a very hallmark and sort of something that's not actually realistic.
Sounds
but,
stupid.
I don't even say it.
Sounds stupid, but it's so true, man. And all I can say to people is like, try it, man, and find what works for you. I mean, maybe what works for us doesn't work for you, but find something that you can stick with. I mean, fuck, even if you do a page a week, that's better than writing nothing. I mean, that's pretty shitty. You could do better than that, but it's better than nothing. Try to start doing a little bit more, and hold yourself accountable. Stick to it, because once you finish that script or finish that song or whatever it is, post that first YouTube video, you feel good, man. You feel good. It's a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, you should enjoy it. I mean, it shouldn't feel like a project. It should definitely feel just like
fun.
What you do. I mean, this is why you're here. Whenever we sit down to do any kind of project, I'm always incredibly excited.
It's always a good time, man.
It's almost like it's like a little kid going to Disneyland or whatever. When we sit down and open up our script, it's like we're opening this whole world we've built for ourselves.
Like a kid going to Disneyland before it sucked.
Right? Yeah. Excuse me. But no, yeah, really, it's it's exciting every single time, and I think the more we do it, the more it gets exciting.
Oh, definitely. And I noticed once you do get into a groove, you like I noticed our page counts increase. Like
Yep.
I feel like it would when we first started writing Three Guys Having a Good Time, the American classic. When we first started doing that, it took us a long time to finish that fucking script, man. It took us a long time. And now I look at the current script we're writing, and we're plowing through it, man. We've sat down to work on it maybe like 5 times, and like we're already halfway there.
Yeah, this one's interesting because we do have a producer interested in it, and he's behind the idea. So we've almost got
Jerry Bruckheimer.
Jerry Bruckheimer. We've almost got dates. We do have dates relatively that we have to work towards in order in terms of writing this thing, and at first this was an idea. I don't know if we want to get into what the idea is yet.
We can hop around it, but I feel like originally we were going to do this as a short film.
As a short film,
It was just going to be for YouTube. We were thinking like maybe 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
We were going to go up to like Flagstaff and shoot it.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, this is great. I started growing my beard out specifically for this. I was like, oh, this will be hilarious.
Yeah.
You know, a little hipster comedy. And and then we met this producer who was interested in our work, and we pitched him a few ideas. And
we threw this one out at the end just as like a, hey, should we just add this one too?
Yeah,
And
we
this
were
is
like,
the
hey,
one we
here's
went
something
for.
we're
Yeah.
working on, yeah.
I remember when I came up with this idea, and I remember texting you the idea when I was at work because I was
Yeah.
like, hey, this would be really funny.
Yeah.
And going into it, I feel like after we talked to him and after he was really excited about it, like a week after that, when it was like set in stone and we had to write this thing, I was like, fuck, we really have to write this thing. And I was kind of unsure about it at that point.
What I equate it to is, you know, when there's like an SNL skit that they turn into a movie, like MacGruber or freaking Night at the Roxbury or one of the, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of what it was. We didn't really have this thing, you know, mapped out. It was like, hey, we're going to do a 10, 15 minute like comedy. And we had like this loose idea about these, you know, these hipsters. And then, you know, this guy's like, oh, I love that idea. Let's turn that into a feature. And we're like, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And then a couple days later, we're like, what did we get ourselves into?
Yeah.
And then and then we started writing it. And at first, neither of us were really that pumped about it because we were like, oh, this is just a little side idea we're going to pop onto YouTube. And then once we started getting into our groove and we started putting in our own spin and putting in our humor, we fell in love with the characters and the script. And now it's a blast.
Yeah.
Right? It's so funny.
It sort of organically becomes yours as you go along.
Yeah. And I think that's interesting. I mean, I could see that happening with like, say you're writing a remake, which we hate. But no, but you know what I'm saying? Like or someone else's material that you're like adapting. And I feel like you could fall in love with it if you put your own spin.
Totally,
definitely. So that was really cool. And now this script is like
I'm really fun.
I'm loving it, man. It's a blast. And so it's called American Spunk.
American Spunk.
Yeah. And,
it's should I give this summary? I mean, I'll say what it's about. I'm not gonna give like a plot summary.
It's a buddy comedy.
It's a buddy comedy.
Yeah, but it's very modern and
very
a lot of social commentary.
A lot of social commentary.
And anyway, just stay tuned for that because we're still in the early phases of putting it together, but hopefully we'll have it as a feature film. Within the next year.
Once the script is complete, we'll get more into specificities. But
definitely. But yeah, it's something
for now. Okay, we'll keep it on the back burner.
Piecing together.
Yeah. Contact is the forefront of our film project.
Yeah, Contact is like the main focus right now, and we can tell you guys more.
In Contact will be beautiful, I think.
Yeah,
I'm very excited about it.
And if it's terrible, we apologize.
If it's terrible, we apologize.
But I doubt it. I think it's gonna be pretty cool.
So,
definitely. Let's see what else. Good writing partners. That's what we were going to talk about. Oh, talk about the game we just played.
Oh yeah, kind of. I mean, this has a little bit to do with Contact. I'll just mention it briefly, but
so loose. Though.
So loose. Yeah. I just got the game Resident Evil 7. I've never really been a Resident Evil fan. I played. I don't know. I played one of the ones for like GameCube, one of the really early ones, like the over the shoulder. And I don't know. Horror games are, they're fun, but this one was fucking terrifying.
It was pretty intense.
Yeah.
Man. It's pretty wild. I'm not a big gamer or anything like that, but when this guy comes across a cool game, I'll play it definitely. And it's pretty cool shit, man. It's like I just can't fathom like little kids playing that. They're gonna have nightmares for the rest of their life.
I think graphics. I'm never one to like bug on the graphics. Like this game's graphics are poor, so it's a shitty game. Or this game's graphics are amazing, so it must be a great game. But for horror games specifically, I think the better the graphics are, the more terrifying it is. Because when things look so real, and you're in such a decrepit, dark environment, it just pulls you right in. And one thing my brother was mentioning is that horror movies or horror games force you to make the decisions, force you to to walk into that dark room, whereas horror movies it's already played out for you. So horror games are definitely really enjoyable for me, and this one specifically. I mean, we just played like the first, I don't know, 25 minutes or whatever, but it was very, very, very scary.
Yeah.
And
It's cool.
yeah,
So
it was
cool.
yeah, it was terrifying.
Highly
And,
recommend.
yeah, the way they're making movements of characters so human now is really, really scary.
Yeah. It's like Sonic the Hedgehog was a real mindfuck.
Their faces are like uncanny valley. Do you know what uncanny valley is?
No.
It's some psychological term. The valley has to do with like a graph where it dips. Anyway, but it has to do with mannequins to actual human faces. Like when you look at a mannequin, it's so fake that you don't really care about it.
What's it called?
Uncanny valley. Yeah, look it up. And
Garrett, can you look up Uncanny Valley?
all right.
Our production assistant, Garrett, everybody.
Hey. Beautiful man. But yeah, so it's essentially the idea that when something is nearly human but not quite human, it freaks you out even more.
Oh yeah.
Like those,
Like
all
the
those,
dead
like
eyes.
yeah, like the dead eyes, all those Japanese robots that like talk to you and shit with the human faces. That's uncanny valley. When
All
it's
right, so it's pulling up here on the screen. Uncanny Valley, used in reference to the phenomenon whereby a computer-generated figure or humanoid robot bearing a near-identical resemblance to a human being arouses a sense of unease or revulsion in the person viewing it.
yeah, and I think that's exactly what we felt. There's you go to save your girlfriend or something. That's the plot,
Yeah,
and the girlfriend is uncanny valley as fuck. Yeah, like her face is
This is a good band name.
uncanny,
probably-
like a hardcore.
I almost
metal.
guaranteed that's probably a band name.
Probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So that that in itself, which is not even. I mean, that was just because the graphics aren't quite there yet, but that made it scary in itself.
Yeah.
And it was very atmospheric. This whole this
Totally,
mansion you're walking through is like holy shit.
You got like this little flashlight.
Yeah, I played it with Ben and my brother and his girlfriend in the room, and I don't think I could do it otherwise.
That's some creepy shit, man.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
Definitely. I think games are really stepping it up.
Yeah.
And they're not quite there yet, though. Like the whole Uncanny Valley thing. I feel like they're not quite there yet, though. I mean, the graphics look amazing, but I'm just curious to see what they're going to look like in like 15, 20 years. I think it's going to be like insane. I mean, they're going to look like really realistic. But definitely a cool game, though. Definitely.
Yeah.
Highly recommend
So,
checking it out.
Yeah, it was fantastic. But so jumping into something I actually want to talk a little bit about for creative types again. There was one section of the game that bared, going to use the buzzword, uncanny resemblance to a section of our film that we're filming right now called Contact. And they're always, I mean, Contact is essentially a horror show, and this was a horror game. But there was something very specific that was very similar. And I think whenever you're making something, there's always going to be...
Penis.
There's always going to be a moment where you see someone else doing the same thing, the same exact thing that you're doing. And this has happened to me many, many times. But when it does happen to you, you can't get scared, you can't get jealous. I mean, we all do to a degree because there's no way around it. I mean, you've created an idea. This idea has come from you. It's yours. So when you see it somewhere else, it feels very violating almost, and you get jealous.
I don't think it was too bad, though.
I don't think it was too bad.
Maybe give 'em
But there's
give 'em a little insight.
I'll bring it up later on, but there was a specific, it was from the X-Files actually. There was something from the X-Files, a whole subplot that was exactly the same in one of my books.
Oh, God.
And it was like insanely similar.
And you didn't know about it?
Didn't know about it, no, yeah. And this was the new X-Files.
Oh, the new
Yeah, the new
X-Files.
X-Files.
Oh,
so
shit.
yeah, it was literally like definitely years after I'd written the book.
Well, that's the weird thing. There's so many ideas floating around out there that nobody has claimed yet.
Right.
Yeah, it's bound to happen. I mean, people are going to have similar ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, shit happens.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I wouldn't stress about it too much. I mean, put your own spin on it. Don't rip off other people's shit, knowingly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of stuff happens, though. There's similarities.
Yeah.
They're bound to pop up.
Actually, I think this would be interesting for the podcast. I'm going to look up we're going to have Garrett look at the instance real fast. I made a Facebook post about it, and I will read off the Facebook post to you. Be right back. All right, I just pulled up the Facebook post. I made this post January 25th, 2016. Almost exactly a year and a day ago.
Oh
How
my
funny is
God.
that? Yeah.
It's insane.
So the post reads. Oh, and this is a subplot from the X-Files.
The newest one.
The newest one that premiered a year ago. So whatever.
Was that already a
Spoilers.
year ago?
Yeah, I guess so. Crazy, right?
Time flies.
Fucking weird. All right, so it says, okay, so in a book I wrote in 2011, Worlds Worth Wrong, a geneticist uses his son as a test subject for genetic modification. The mother finds out about this and gives birth to twins in secrecy in order to save them from becoming further test subjects. And so in the X-Files, so I say in the X-Files episode that premiered tonight, a geneticist uses his daughter as a test subject for genetic modification. The mother finds out and gives birth to a boy in secrecy to save him. So exact same fucking thing. But again, when these things happen, you got to take a step back and realize that no one's going to do it like you. The plot could be similar, but the emotions that drive the plot all come from you. And I remember the first one that happened to me was so silly because I was like 12, and one of my first like big epic story ideas was essentially like Archangel Michael coming down with machine guns and fucking like starting a war on Earth, and the dumbest, most 12-year-old boy thing in the world.
That sounds kind of cool.
But, yeah, but then around that time, this movie Legion came out, which was exactly that.
I know exactly. Yeah.
And I mean, it was stupid, but at the time I was like, oh damn it, that was my cool idea, you know.
Yeah.
But
They
stuff.
fucked me
yeah,
over.
stuff. Ideas have a weird way of floating around at the same time, almost subconsciously. So
Yeah, and there's bound to be
there's
ones that are
bound to be
similar.
similarities. So just, I guess my point is, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that game was fantastic.
Yeah, going back to video games.
Definitely, yeah.
And now you got me thinking about Gillian Anderson. Ooh.
Ooh,
What a doll. What a doll.
like a fine wine.
Yeah, 1990s Gillian Anderson. My God.
Yeah.
But I heard Duchovny wrote a book. Actually, I want to read it.
Oh.
Yeah, he wrote
About Gillian Anderson?
Hopefully. No, but I heard he wrote a book recently. I'll have to pull it up. Garrett, add that to the list. David Duchovny. But one thing I want to talk about as far as video games, Westworld, I think would be a fantastic video game.
That would be amazing.
Can you imagine Rockstar, somebody making something like that? But yeah, I was talking to Emmett about this earlier. I think that would be so fantastic, and you had a cool idea about going under the edge of town.
Yeah, it would be an open world game, and if you go to the edge of town, you find the ancient Rome world.
Yeah,
that'd be very
because
very
the original
cool Easter
movie,
egg,
the original movie, there were multiple worlds. Like in the
Right.
current HBO show, it's just Westworld
Okay,
so far in the first season. But originally in the 1973, 72 movie
so, yeah.
that they did of Westworld, they were different worlds. There was Westworld, there was like Roman world, there was I think another world also, I forget.
Yeah.
Medieval world. Was
Oh,
another
yeah.
one. Yeah, which was pretty cool.
That'd be terrifying.
And I think that would be cool to kind of explore more in the
yeah.
video game. And wouldn't that be so cool though? Like if you come in as a guest,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, and you get to explore
That'd
the
be super
world.
cool.
Like, that'd be fantastic.
And then later on, like an android malfunctions or something, and it becomes
like this
Yeah,
apocalyptic, like oh man.
that would be badass as hell. Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone's listening who's connected to that, I mean, make a Westworld video game, dude.
Think of it with those
Ah.
incredible graphics from Resident Evil 7 that we just played.
Oh
that would
my
be
God.
that would
And,
be
I,
sick
mean,
as
and
hell.
I feel like the possibilities are endless. I mean, it
Oh,
would be
yeah.
so much fun.
Yeah.
It would be violent. It would be cool. It would
Yeah.
be exciting. I mean, and you could do all the different missions. Like, you know how they're
Yeah.
like, oh, don't talk to that old prospector,
right.
or he's gonna take you off on a crazy
Yeah.
search for gold. And you could actually like play out those missions.
It's practically already a video game. Yeah, I mean it plays
Dude,
out exactly.
absolutely.
Like a
Yeah,
video game.
it's like a real life. Well, in the show, it's like a real
That'd be
life video game. Yeah, where anything's possible.
Do the androids bleed like humans and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're almost like indiscernible from actual
totally.
humans.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the whole point. Yeah.
Crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like Terminators essentially, but
That's cool. That seems to be a big thing. And another game that came out about a year ago, Fallout 4. One of the huge subplots is they call them synths, but it's the same thing as androids. And synths are considered like a lower form. People think they're abominations, and there are sort of like poorly constructed early synths where it's like really obvious it's a robot. And then there's the more advanced versions that you can't tell them from humans. And as soon as someone in a certain town finds out you're a synth, they'll shoot you dead. And so some people get paranoid and think like their friend is a synth when he isn't, and they'll shoot him and they'll find out it was a human being. So it's a very interesting sort of that seems to be up in the air a lot
That's
these
cool.
days. Yeah,
I like it though.
It's very cool. Yeah.
What I think Westworld, we're gonna talk about Westworld a lot because
sure,
I'm
sure.
totally obsessed
Yeah.
with it. So in future episodes, we're gonna dive a little deeper into
Definitely.
it. But if you guys haven't watched it, I highly recommend checking it out. HBO, very cool. one thing that I thought they did really successfully was making the what are they called? The hosts, the robots at the park, the actors and actresses seem like less than people. You know what I mean? They didn't seem like they were actually human.
Cool.
They did a fantastic job of, when they got killed or fucked up or anything like that, like you didn't care. You're like, well, it's not a real person.
Wow.
And that's how good the acting is. You're like, wow, when I'm looking at this person, I'm like, you're not an equal. You know what I mean? You're a machine. That's how good the acting is.
That's amazing.
It's weird. You kind of get so, maybe it's just me, but I got so immersed in it. I'm like, oh, she's not a real person though. She's a machine, and that's how great the acting is.
Yeah, that's...
And just in the direction and everything, like you really feel like the person interviewing the host is a real person, and the other being in front of them is just a machine.
That's incredible.
They did a fantastic job, and the acting and the direction that show is just stellar.
I've not seen any of it yet. I definitely got to catch up. That alone makes me want to see it for sure.
They did such a good job. I got it here on the screen right here. Bucky fucking Dent, novel by David Duchovny, 2016. Genre fiction. But yeah, that was what I was gonna say.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Holy cow, a modern day dairy tale. Another one? Is that another one by David Duchovny?
Holy cow.
Holy cow.
Oh man.
Yep. Book by David Duchovny. Yep.
Yeah.
What a prolific guy, man. That's awesome. I respect David Duchovny a lot. He's a cool guy. You were gonna talk about Oblivion a little bit?
Yep.
People in the comments are freaking out.
Yeah. Oh yes, finally. Okay, so the Oblivion videos. You gotta understand. the first two. I mean, the one my brother posted that first blew up, and then the Oblivion 2 that I posted after that. Those were filmed a really long time ago. Even I think before I knew Ben. And there was just
BB.
I mean, before I knew my BB.
Before Ben.
Before BB. Before Ben. Yeah, those were films really spontaneously. I mean, me and my brother were just dicking around. I don't know why we decided to film them. We decided it would be funny, just for us, for our purposes. It sat on my brother's Instagram for years and years and years. And one night last spring, he just decided, hey, what the hell? I'll post this to the Oblivion Reddit and see if people like it. So my point is that those were natural, and we were just having fun. And now that there's millions of people that want a new one, I mean, I've never been in this situation before, and it's terrifying. I made the Oblivion 3 over the summer, and people liked it, but it was a little more lukewarm than like, oh, this was fantastic.
Yeah.
And that was because, I mean, I was like, oh my god, I got to make this really good because everyone's going to hate me otherwise. And I think that's why it was not as good.
And I think the pressure was on after that one because we found out that Kevin Smith fucking loved it, which was like the weirdest thing. Yeah. And I was like, I mean, that's pressure right there. I mean, Kevin Smith is sitting there in his fucking jersey enjoying it. Terrifying.
Yeah, it's really weird. Yeah, it's weird. And I mean, I've been racking my brain trying to figure out, how do I do a good Oblivion 4? But I mean, that idea can only go so far. I can't keep making an Oblivion every month. And I do with my buddy Christian. He does a Snapchat of me in the Oblivion character every week. I will put his Snapchat in the description below. But yeah, so if you want to see more Oblivion, I do the Snapchats with him. And I think the Snapchat takes the pressure off because I'm not like posting a YouTube video. It's just Snapchat. It's there. It's gone. Only a few people. I mean, he tells me all the time he's getting a lot of followers on his Snapchat, and he'll get a lot of messages like, "Hey, where's the new Oblivion video?"
I think it'd be fun if we did both our Snapchats in the description. Mine and Emmett's. That way, if you guys want to see more of our personal shit, you can look at our daily lives.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic.
Definitely feel free to follow us, and if you have any questions for us or anything like that, maybe we'll respond via Snapchat.
I'm on my brother's Instagram. I'm on my brother's Snapchat more than mine, so I'll put his in there as well. He always films me, goofing around, being crazy.
Yeah, look down in the description and follow us, guys. That'll be fun.
Yeah, but yeah, so I mean, long story short for the Oblivion videos, if you want to see more, follow Christian Rich. But yeah, I'll try to do a new one at some point. But right now, I want to focus on my music and focus on our creative projects. I don't want to get pigeonholed into being the Oblivion guy forever. I mean, there's worse things to be remembered by. I made millions of people laugh and they loved it.
You could be the glory hole guy.
Yeah. Yeah, but
sorry, Garrett. Sorry.
There are definitely things. I'm working on a lot of music projects right now that I'm really excited about. I'll be posting those soon, and we're working on this podcast. I mean, podcast is just hanging out. It's great. We're working on these film projects. We're working on books. and I want to get people invested in those. I mean, I understand there was a huge and fantastic audience for the Oblivion videos, but I want to use that attention to sort of, say, hey, this is me, this is what I'm interested in. Yeah, why don't you take a look at my other stuff?
Yeah, man, definitely. I really enjoyed this podcast, though. I feel like it's nice to talk about the creative process, and video games are fun.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, video games are fun.
But yeah, definitely. So follow us on Snapchat, guys, and if you want us to talk about anything in future podcasts, feel free to comment below, and maybe, just maybe, we will throw it into one of our podcasts for a topic to discuss.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Next time we have Dave Coulier coming on.
Oh yeah.
Uncle Joey.
Good man.
Fantastic comedian.
Buddy
if
of
you
mine.
guys haven't seen him. And yeah, stay tuned, guys. We'll be in touch.
All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye.